is a bad anime villain. He's just like, and he's not even the main, he doesn't understand that he's not the main character. He is like the shitty discount side villain that gets dumped at the beginning of the anime that is just takes L after L after L after L as this woman gets just gets absolute revenge and raises herself to a higher place and just stepped on him on the way up because she never needed him in the first place. As he whines and cries about how needed he is. That's what this is. He's not Broly, he's Raditz. There's a thread here from Mars Girl about Vic Mignogna and him talking about his, I guess, now ex-side chick, Farah, who I've kind of been watching, and I think she's doing better than I was a little bit concerned about her when I was kind of watching the way she was interacting with and who and how she was interacting with them, because it seemed like there was a lot of people that were trying to take advantage of her. And it looks like that's improving rather than getting worse, and I'm very, very happy to see that. Mars Girl said, not thrilled to be here, just promised some that I'd share clips of Screamy Broccoli Man, Broly, badly gaslighting his fans about how he lied and cheated on at least 2 women, splitting this into parts, but it's entirely about downplaying the severity of Farah's stories and feelings. Keeping in mind as well, and we looked at those before, Farah does have a lot of receipts backing up the things that she has said. So there is not a whole lot of speculation or things that she hasn't provided receipts for that she has been saying. So we can, if you don't trust what she's saying, the screenshots are there, the recordings are there for you to look at instead. So let's take a look and hear what this... Oh, God. Okay.
There's been someone online, and I'm not going to say their name, who's been making a lot of noise and trying to cause a lot of trouble, not just for me, but even for people that care about me, even friends of mine, which is just crazy. And what's really nonsensical is it's all private, personal interaction.
Okay, so he's talking about Farah, but part of the problem is that you brought this woman to the spotlight, and now you're complaining that she's in the spotlight and saying essentially that she shouldn't be talking about you cheating on her, or she shouldn't be talking about your relationship with her, but from... That seems to be a pretty fucking toxic relationship. So you don't like that she's making public your private interaction of you lying to her. And that's a shame for you. But I feel like somebody who's, known for waving their underwear around on a stream.
No.
Probably shouldn't be bitching about things that are supposed to be left private. Everyone knows who he's talking about, and trying to play it off this way is just an idea of plausible deniability. It doesn't do anything to keep this person safe from his audience, and it doesn't do it. All it does is rile them up more, and it doesn't do anything to actually do anybody any good. It doesn't even help Vic, quite frankly. Before I get in too far, I just want to mention he was on this topic for half an hour. First 10 to 15 minutes was him talking about the fact that he is the way he is because his dad left him when he was 9, so he became an overachiever, so everyone would love him. Not a good excuse. There's a difference between being a narcissist or developing really bad habits when it comes to reaching out for acknowledgement from others in your personality. And there's ways to manage that and mitigate that. That doesn't mean cheating on people is okay. It doesn't mean breaches of trust and contract are suddenly acceptable. But I guess we get to skip that part. Thank you, Mars Girl. I appreciate that you allowed us to not have to talk about Vic Mignogna's fucking daddy issues and how he takes those out on women. He starts explaining his relationship with Farah was casual, does not mention it was sexual, nor does he mention he was already in a relationship with another woman, and that he had not communicated this to either women, just villainizes Farah for catching feelings. So we have confirmed through Farah's screenshots that their relationship was sexual in nature.
Simple truth here is that I met this person a little over a year ago, and we both agreed.
Where? Was she a fan? Did you meet her at a convention? Where did you meet her? Speaking of not mentioning names, but you giving enough details so that everybody knows exactly who you're talking about, you should just use her name, because what you're doing is basically trying to dehumanize her, like separate out, like make her faceless, so that way people don't feel as bad treating her like shit. You know, those are the people in your audience. That's what you're setting them up for. Use her name. If you're going to be this specific, there's no value in not using her name except nefarious reasons. So, who was she? Where'd you meet her? That seems like pertinent information for somebody who has so many, like, weird, sexualized things floating around.
We're not interested in some kind of a relationship or some kind of long-term, deep, romantic thing.
If you're going to speak for her, then you need to provide receipts.
We both said that. And so, I felt like,
Prove
okay.
it. You both said it? Show me. Show us, like, an example of your relationship, and show that your relationship was met, like, consensually that way. You need to actually show that. Again, you're the one making it public at this point. You're making these public statements about what somebody else said. Prove it. Show where. Tell Elmo.
Tell Elmo.
We were honest from the very beginning, and we set the ground rules, and fine.
We know that was a lie. We know that was a lie from the text messages that Farah has already released. So you know your relationship didn't start by being honest. You were not both honest. You were in fact a big fat fucking liar about what your relationship was. I mean, unless you're gonna claim that all of Farah's screenshots are faked, in which case, please show that. If you're gonna make that claim, show how they're fake. You could be suspicious of them. Fine. You might not believe the screenshots. Fine. But why are you even here? What could you... If you can't... Like... You'd have to not trust Farah's word. You'd have to not trust Vic's word. You'd have to not trust his current main squeeze's word. You wouldn't be able to trust any of the screenshots that any of them have provided, or any of the... And at what point you can make no decision. You can't say that Vic is even the good guy, even if you want to, because then you can make no fucking distinction at that point. And so if you can't make any distinction, then you can't say that somebody is definitively lying, and you can't say that somebody is definitively telling the truth. You'd have to reserve judgment for everybody. So... And that's if you're going to dismiss all of the screenshots and all the audio stuff. And, like, the history. So, if you are going to do that, then the only reasonable conclusion you can come to is that you can trust nobody in this situation about anything until you can personally verify whatever screenshot about whatever.
It's meant to be kind of fun and casual, and...
Prove it.
But several months in, this person started expressing deeper feelings.
Show that then.
And I was like, whoa.
Show that then. You should have that. You should have no problem being like, okay, so here's how our relationship was very casual in these screenshots. And then here's a couple months later with a date on it, and where she started this. And here's where it was this, and here's where it was this, and then here's where it was this. Here's the screenshots with dates on them. And then here's me responding by drawing a line. Says Farah didn't take it well when Vic said he wanted to focus on the other women in his life. I don't know, maybe she would have taken it better had you not hid the other person and the nature of your relationship from her in the first place.
Someone in my life that I loved and wanted to wanted to express. I wanted to
To what?
to focus more attention on that relationship. And so I told this person, the one that I was just, casually, occasionally connecting with, that I needed to break that off, that I needed to stop that because I wanted to focus on this relationship.
That's not what the screenshots show. The screenshots that Farah have put out shows that you were trying to ask her to hang around, so you're fucking lying. Lay gasp. Vic Mignogna, a fucking liar? Question mark? Nobody's surprised that he's a big-ass fucking liar trying to gaslight the shit out of his fucking audience by presenting them with bullshit, allegory, and just his word on the matter, because, you gotta take whatever Vic Mignogna says at face value, just like we've seen from literally every fucking Vic Mignogna fan that we've looked up to this point. Every time that we've looked at something they've had to say, they just straight up take this man's word for it. And at no point they won't take anybody else's word, though. They have very, 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 very high standards for everybody else, but for Vic, hero worship is fucking spooky, man.
Well, they didn't take it very well. I started to back away.
They didn't take it well that you were cheating on them? Well, I can't imagine why they wouldn't take that well. You can't demonize or tell people that they're wrong for thinking you're an asshole when you're being an asshole. Don't be an asshole! Also, that's not even the order of events. In December of 2022, Vic tried to leave Farah to go back to Haley. That's his main squeeze. Tried to ask Farah to wait for him. See? So he could still have options. Came back behind Haley's back again. Then Farah ended things when she learned he was a liar in May of 2023. Says if Farah really loved him, she wouldn't try to go online and share their conversations to try to hurt him. Completely missing what a horrible thing he's done for to at least 2 people. Also, Mad Pharaoh recorded phone calls when apparently he's done the same.
Then have been doing any damage they could to me or anyone connected to me.
Who is anybody connected to you that they've been damaging? If you're going to say that they're damaging regardless of their relationship with you, show that. The only person I've seen Farah doing any damage to you is you, and even that is kind of negligible, I guess. I mean, most people that are reading and understanding what's gone on already knew you were a piece of shit to begin with. So she's kind of just reaffirming things that a lot of people already knew. So if you're saying that she's going after people in your community or people that are friends with you, 1, you're going to have to show that that's the case. 2, you're going to have to then demonstrate the reason why she's doing that and what her intentions and motivations are. And then you're going to have to actually, come to a definitive conclusion, right? Somebody lashing out at you or exposing you is comeuppance, to be honest.
To me or anyone connected to me. Now, this person claimed to love me and care about me. And I don't know about you, but flaming somebody, illegally recording conversations, releasing private messages, those are not the actions of somebody you care about. You know what I mean?
You know what's not the actions of somebody you claim to care about? Lying and cheating and threatening. Though asking them to do bullshit and get into fucking legal bullshit for you on your behalf. Those are things that you don't do to people you love and care about, Vic. Those are things that you did to Farah. You can't think that it's even reasonable to say that, well, she loved me before she knew I did all this shit to her, or before she realized all the shit that I had done to her, and therefore that invalidates her feelings about me before she realized what a piece of shit I was. That's not how that fucking works. Sorry, just because somebody likes you and loves you, and then they find out later down the line that you're a piece of shit, they're allowed to change their mind and their feelings. In fact, they probably should. Because you're not the person that they thought you were and how you portrayed yourself. And so, like, having a normal human reaction to his bullshit. Vic Mignogna forgot time exists, events take place and happen, and when those things happen, there are consequences. Ah! That's not how any of that works, asshole. That's the fact that you even think that that's a reasonable thing to say, it tells me you have some serious issues. Maybe they're all stemming from your daddy, apparently.
That's not what you do to someone that you care about.
Maybe they don't care about you anymore, and they're not obligated to. Yeah, no, she doesn't owe him love or owe him fucking anything, especially after he broke their agreement. Right? Their agreement being a consensual relationship between that was exclusive to the two of them, right? That was their agreement. He broke whether it was casual or not. Him breaking that agreement voids anything in relation to that agreement. And so because he voided the agreement, he's not allowed to... broke and voided the agreement does not mean that he gets to fucking complain that the other person is no longer standing by the agreed terms of that social contract. Because he broke the fucking social contract.
I mean, and by the way, that's a crime. Can I just point that out, everybody?
He calls everything a crime! Every time he's just like, oh yeah, they're committing crime, by the way, and then he gets the crime totally wrong.
I haven't committed any crimes. I mean, I've definitely made some bad mistakes. I've hurt people, I've made bad...
Soliciting illegal sex.
She said, do you recall inviting two girls, twins, two women, to your room at a convention?
Uh-oh, how unfortunate.
And I said, yes. We made some small talk, and then they asked me why I invited them to my room. And I said, well, I was under the impression that there was a lot of mutual attraction going on here, and I thought maybe you might be interested in some kind of a sexual interaction.
Does that count as a crime, or do you mean you haven't been caught or charged with a crime?
Then have been doing any damage they could to me or anyone connected to me. Now, this person claimed
Define
to
damage.
love me and care about me. And I don't know about you, but flaming somebody, illegally recording conversations, releasing private messages, those are not the actions of somebody you care about. You know what I mean?
Also, supposedly he had also been recording their conversations, so that's two-party consent. Also, that depends on where he's living and where she's living, so you could have a legal argument one way or another, depending on which jurisdiction you're in and where... Right, because this is America, and America has different laws depending on which state you're in. So you would have to determine about whether or not, if one person is in a two-party consenting state and the other person is in a one-party consent state, then you would have to discuss in court about which law would be applicable, and part of that would have to do with the jurisdiction of the court. So if you were to, like, if Farah were to sue Vic in Texas, then Texas party is likely what would be followed, although not guaranteed. You'd be able to argue that. But I don't know what state Farah would have been in at the time during this call that was recorded, or calls that were recorded. And so if she's in a one-party consent and he's in a two-party consent, that can get sticky in court, and that could kind of go either way. It really just depends on how the lawyers handle that. And with Vic's history of hiring lawyers, he'd probably lose that argument. However, if he's also recording, or they've also had any type of conversation that they've already talked about, that they record these conversations, his argument goes out the window, which that may or may not be the case. So.
And I don't know about you, but flaming somebody, illegally recording conversations, releasing private messages, those are not the actions of somebody you care about. You know what I mean?
You talking shit without mentioning their name or showing any receipts to your fan base, specifically setting up your fan base, who you know are volatile to a degree, is not something that you should be doing to somebody you claimed you love, Vic. You're bitching that she's doing the thing you're doing. And she's one person, and you're talking to a bunch of fucking crazy fans. Oh, sorry, Vic is the second coming of Jesus. My bad, I forgot about the preacher mode crying Vic Mignogna. My mistake. This is infuriating. Says if Farah really loved him, she'd show love even if he didn't love her back or things didn't go her way instead of seeking vengeance. My guy, you were an abusive, manipulative liar, and you think she must love you. What?
It's so easy to love someone who loves you back. That doesn't take much work. The real test of true love is loving somebody who may not feel the same way, or loving someone even when things don't go the way you wanted them to.
This is the most toxic garbage shit I think I've heard this man say. I bet you he wouldn't think that if it was applied to him. Yes, unrequited love is incredibly difficult. Mr. Anime Voice, there's a lot of anime written about unrequited love. There's a lot of stories written about unrequited love, and there's pleasant and wholesome ones, and there's toxic, crazy ones. And you live in toxic, crazy land, where you're like the creepy character who has too much power, and you are obsessively shitting on the person who loved you that you scorned, who is now taking revenge on you scorning them, and you're losing, and you're mad that I could write a whole fucking anime just based around this scenario, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. What does love mean to this man? What does he think love is? He seems to think love is an obsession, which is, those are not the same thing.
That is the test of true love.
Great, so are you, if she was, alright, fine. This is the test of true love. So therefore, if Farah did not do any of the things that she's currently doing, or not do any of the things you've accused her of doing, whether or not she's actually done them, would you accept her feelings for you? And acknowledge them as true love for you? And then they would hold some weight and value to you? Or would that not fucking matter, and you would just take advantage of that because you're a piece of shit?
Caring about somebody enough that you don't react badly, you don't seek vengeance or try to hurt them because things didn't go the way you wanted them to.
You lied and cheated, and they exposed you for lying and cheating. Your career was already shit to begin with. So what damage she's doing damage to you and people around you, what is it? What's the damage? Is it to your reputation? Your reputation's already shit. So what's she doing besides exposing you to people who otherwise wouldn't be exposed to your shitty behavior? What is wrong with her telling people the truth of what you did? Because if you didn't do anything wrong, or you did things wrong and you're willing to admit that, then you shouldn't have an issue. There should be no issue here. You're pissy because she's not doing whatever you wanted her to do, so things aren't really going your way. And if you really cared about her, like you claimed you cared about her, then you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. You would accept your lumps and accept that you did something wrong and apologize for it. But you're not going to do that because you're a bitch. Because this is bitch way out. This is bitch made shit. This is you floundering after she burnt your ass. Skipping a bunch because he goes into how he should be loved because God would do that. You know what God is? Vengeful. You know what God is? Jealous. You know what God does? Fuck people over who don't love him enough. Therefore, if Farah is supposed to be God in the scenario that he's presenting according to Mars Girl, then Farah is behaving exactly the way God ought to behave. And speaking as a Christian myself, this is some of the most religiously manipulative shit I have ever heard, but it goes on for a long while. Yes, please do not assume that every Christian is gonna go along with whatever dumb fuck shit Vic Mignogna is gonna say about his faith and what he believes, which seems to be whatever is convenient for him. Remember, this old chestnut, he's been saying this exact thing for decades, quote, people saying anything for attention. Yeah, I've heard him say that a good number of times. As if that's what the problem is, and not that you have a pattern of behavior that women need to warn each other about to protect themselves from you. Goes on a while.
Some people will do just about anything and say just about anything online or in person to get some attention because that attention makes them feel valuable.
Then what are you doing demanding love from somebody you rejected, lied to, cheated on, and tried to manipulate, and are currently still trying to intimidate and manipulate? You're projecting. That's what you're doing. You're fucking projecting. You are doing the thing that you're trying to point fingers at and distract everybody and say that those people are doing the thing when that finger is directly pointed at you. You are the one doing this. I don't talk about Vic Mignogna shit because I think I'm gonna get clout for it. I talk about Vic Mignogna shit because it's my one thing that I think is amusing that I've been following. And before it was like a legal matter, and it's just turned into like asinine dribble and like sexist, misogynistic, religious toxicity that's just spewing like sludge out of his mouth. And it's like, what the fuck? If anybody who had any sympathy for you over the lawsuit or over what may or may not be accusations ought to have lost it by now because you don't stop and it just gets worse.
It makes them feel noticed. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Yes, I do.
Some people will do just about
You know what? Props to Mars Girl for that cut. That was a pretty cute one. Then, despite basically confirming the whole experience with Farah was true, he starts trying to sow seeds of doubt about the legitimacy by saying things can be photoshopped. I mentioned this before. Convenient, he says Farah has lied, but doesn't specify what is a lie, because she isn't lying.
And I'll tell you something else. If any of you have ever worked with Photoshop or editing programs, you can edit text messages. You can edit emails, you can edit photos, you can make something appear to be a certain way.
As an artist, anytime you manipulate anything, there's a track of it, and it can be found. You can track AI in a photo or image. You can track any change by looking at the original file, because the original file will track any change that you make within the programming of that file. Everything is there. Everything is inside of the coding. Everything is trackable and traceable and findable. There are also visual tells about what is and is not a Photoshop. So, Vic, if you're going to say that any of those things are Photoshopped, there's two ways for you to demonstrate that. One is by providing the original. So if it's out there and she's posted it, give us the original photo and say, hey, actually, that's not what I said. This is what I said. And or show any kind of visual representation within the frauded image. So, Vic, if you're so well-versed, show us. Show the ones that are fake and give us the real ones. At least she has the balls to show up with some fucking receipts and show where maybe she didn't look like she was in the greatest of light. And she's willing to be like, hey, yeah, maybe here what I said was inappropriate, or I did say I was going to go after that person. She was willing to own that up and take accountability for that. What are you doing? What are you providing? Nothing? Bullshit? Cool.
And I happen to know for a fact that there have been an awful lot of lies. Flat out lies.
Which lies? By who? What are they? For example. And then show that they're actually a lie. Even if he did provide an example and said, well, she lied about this. Okay, show that she lied then? Could you provide anything? It seems to me that Vic Mignogna feels so inferior in this situation that he is incapable of doing anything except providing his voice, because he now believes in his life that the only value that he can bring to any scenario is him fucking talking. And that's really sad.
That have been propagated that are not true. But there's nothing you can do because people have the right to say whatever they want.
No. The First Amendment does not protect you from defamation. That's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. And the thing is I already listed a bunch of ways that you could demonstrate or do something or show something, but the reason you can't is because you're the one bullshitting? Go fucking figure. Stop trying to make other people project that onto themselves, that if they were in your scenario, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. If they're in your scenario and what you're saying is true, then they would have fucking options. You don't have any options because you're fucking around. And now you're finding out. Jackass.
Social media has given everybody a voice to hurt someone.
Oh, he's so mad that everybody else is allowed to say anything. Because fucking entitled old white man over here doesn't think that anybody else should have a fucking opinion. He's allowed to say whatever he wants without showing anything, or doing anything, or putting any goddamn fucking effort, or having any fucking accountability, and wanting absolutely zero consequences to fucking anything that he's ever done. But everybody else can just shut up and fucking take it in the ass. Remember when she was lying, back when she was being told I was literal Satan and trying to hurt me, her fictional posts were very obviously fake. Like, we're talking wildly different looking from what she is sharing now. It's easy to tell when she is and isn't faking something. Anyway, you can look at a slightly more complete 11-minute chunk here. Only part missing is the first 15-minute sob story about his dad leaving him. What an absolute piece of work. Jesus Christ. Infuriating gaslighting at its most blatant. So if you want to go watch a full 11 minutes on your own, feel free to do so. I wanted to add in Caitlin's commentary because I thought it was valuable for somebody who has been far more closely related to the issue directly, because she's the one who took a lot of flack from Farah and who seems to be interacting with Farah just fine now with no fucking issues. She's not going after her. She's not doing whatever the fuck Vic Mignogna was claiming Mars Girl was doing and doing to people. So if she was that vindictive of a person, she wouldn't be so willing to be so supportive and helpful towards Farah in general, or forgiving. You know, that godly thing that Vic Mignogna likes to claim.
Broly wins all the time. Broly rules. Goku rules.
Yeah, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.